Hey guys, Veebat here with another V-Plays, and here it is, the HG-3 German Tier 10 Heavy Fighter. This aircraft I've been grinding on for quite a while, but to be honest, it wasn't much of a grind because the HG-2 was a very enjoyable airframe. The slight increase in range on the cannons actually means quite a bit when it comes to engaging aircraft at these higher altitudes and higher airspeeds. This is a different pilot than I had in the HG-2 because the HG-2 I'm going to keep. I do enjoy it. I think it's a great Tier 9 heavy fighter. And I don't think I have a Tier 9 heavy fighter aside from that one. So we decided to put in one of our female pilots into this one, and we'll talk a little bit about her skills as we go through the video. I am recording this after the battles, that way you guys are actually getting a calm and a prepared review of this airframe. We're vectoring in on this Hornet. Caused quite a bit of damage on the first pass, but I'm not getting over involved because I would like to go after these bombers, so I'm just going to pass that Hornet and move on to the next target. While the 287 is out of the capture zone, I don't want him coming back because his damage potential with those 4 2,000-pound bombs is quite devastating. Right from the get-go, you already get the ability to put on 2 engine consumables, which means that you can get increased boost power and you can also get the engine repair, which we definitely needed there. Pressure's on right now because it looks like all of the enemy ground attack aircraft are over this site. There's a 287, well, we just killed one, we killed the second, and then down below we have a player ground attacker and a bot ground attacker. I would like to be able to get this ticker clicked over a little bit more for us before I decide to dive on these targets. We see that that's a specialist down there, and what is that, a 1082 or an 1102? 1102B German ground attacker, trying to read and follow the action. Plenty of damage coming out of the airframe, and partially because we are doing the gas-operated action, which is going to increase our rate of fire, but going to decrease our accuracy slightly. In a lot of ways, I think that this may be slightly more beneficial than the long barrels, which I traditionally use. The logic for using the long barrels was if I can start firing at a target earlier, that'll increase the amount of time I get the guns on target, because I really never felt like overheating was that much of a problem. It was more getting the opportunity to get the guns on. So increasing the amount of fire didn't make sense, or the length of fire, but increasing the speed of fire I think is actually a good option as well, and I've watched some clanmates kind of discuss this as well and have seen it used to great effect. In addition to that, we're getting more rounds out and they're slightly spread out, so your chance of getting any of the shells to hit increases a lot, and with 30mm cannon rounds really doesn't matter much, right? As long as you get a few of them to hit, at the very least you're causing some critical damage and making it difficult for that aircraft to engage in the fight. That F-84F was pretty much sitting still there, so an opportune target for us. We do have a light fighter coming in right now. I'm going to try and engage that aircraft in a forward pass, but this is an FJ-1. It's a fairly fast aircraft and very maneuverable. And if I were to stay engaged with that aircraft, I would not win that fight. So I'm going to go ahead and break contact, and I'm just going to move on to the next target. You can see this aircraft has no issues accelerating well over 500 miles an hour and staying above 9,000 feet. That means that anybody who can turn better than me is going to be well below me, and I'm going to be able to outpace most of those fighters as long as I keep an eye on my energy state. I really enjoy these tail engagements against bombers because it allows you to kind of watch the shells make contact, and I'm getting a little bit aggressive here. I know that I had an ally there that probably should have gotten that kill, even if it is a bot, but I needed to get 15 aerial kills in a single battle in order to achieve the objective for trying to get the TU-1, which I am trying to get for you guys, that way I can do a review. One of the things you'll note here, especially looking at the left-hand speed indicator, it's going to show that this aircraft seldom drops into the yellow for its speed. It's usually in the upper edge of its speed envelope, and it's just modulating these 25 seconds of boost we have available, and we have the coolers so we can get it back pretty quick. This aircraft stays at airspeed way better, especially in the climb, and when you compare that to the HG2, I usually had to hit the boost a lot in order to get any type of climb out of it. And the top speed with boost is nearly 100 miles an hour less than this airframe. So you get quite a bit from this aircraft when it comes to engine power, and it really does have an effect on kind of the maneuverability as well, because you don't find yourself dipping into those lower ends of the regime for your optimum airspeed for maneuverability. We're going to go ahead and vector over to this side of the map. Again, I ignored that other fighter because I'm not going to get engaged in a turning fight with an altitude fighter. That's a recipe for disaster for me. We're well over 600 miles an hour. We still have the cooler if we choose that we need it. And we're getting on this HG2 we were trying to engage earlier, and we were able to take him out pretty handily. And now we're going to move on to these bomber aircraft. I'm kind of happy that they got the command center here, because it gives me an opportunity to go after some of those bot bombers to get those 15 kills. For those of you who are struggling with this step, highly advisable if you ever have a mission for killing a lot of aerial targets, get in a heavy fighter, and when you get into a match where the enemy gets bomber flights, you just kill bomber flights. That's 5 free kills every 30 seconds. So it really is a excellent opportunity because it's not looking for player kills, it's just looking for overall kills. And for our first match, we've already got grade 1 fire, grade 1 heavy fighter. We've gotten a myriad of achievements in association with that, including flying paladin. We just got the McGuire medal, and now we are vectoring in to try and take this command center. We are diving on these Spitfire targets because we probably can get a couple of kills off of them as well. How quickly we were able to kill that aircraft by lighting them on fire. Again, we get increased damage in the head-on using Charlotte, the pilot we have equipped on here. Again, we'll go over her stats when we get to the hangar because that is going to affect how the aircraft behaves a little bit. We just got Winged Legend. We're in squall line. We managed to capture the zone. We took all 3 of those targets out as we engaged them, so you can see how deadly this aircraft can be when you can get those guns on target. And I'd like to attribute a lot of that to that gas-operated action that we have on the airframe to increase that rate of fire. We're taking out the HG2 right now, and now we're moving on to try and take out this F-84B. This aircraft has pretty good mobility and good maneuverability as well. I would like to be able to help my ally, this IL-40, and unfortunately for us, it looks like the F-84 wants to continue to maneuver away from us. I see the enemy player down below, and I get a little bit indecisive going after targets. We managed to nick him a little bit there, which means that we just got 75 points for our allies taking him out. And I want to go after that F-84, but I have a Spitfire. Again, my indecisiveness is causing me some problems. I think we've already hit our 15 at this point, but I want to be able to kill that F-84 because we've been going after him ever since we dove down here. So let's go ahead and get these guns on target for another pass. Make contact, come on, there it is, and an ace. Not bad for our first battle, and bear in mind that this is only a 90% pilot because we have just thrown them in here. We gave them a boost on or an acceleration on their training in order to get them up to 90% to start, but with the experience being converted, I'm sure we'll be at 100%. You can see an absolute myriad of medals and achievements on this first battle in this airframe, and it's absolutely fantastic. I really do enjoy it, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the hangar. We actually recorded this bit first, so I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the review of the airframe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Alright, so definitely glad we hit record on this battle because not often do I get to catch an ace, and Guys, this was the first battle. I know I mentioned it a few times, but this is just a 90% crew. Granted, it's this specialized pilot, Charlotte here, and we'll go ahead and take a look at what she has to offer, but 14,000 plus credits on a ×3, not bad at all. It allowed us to be able to get step 9 done on our operation order. We had to kill 15 aircraft in a single battle, and we've knocked out 20, so we're making our way through it pretty quickly. Aircraft pilots obviously up to 100% now because we just got 29,000 experience points towards the pilot, and yeah, we are sitting pretty. What a weird looking plane. I know in a lot of the images you kind of see it from this weird downward angle as you see down here in the picture at the bottom of the screen. It looks really hokey, but you know what? In practice with the really steep sweep on the wings, it feels pretty good, like appearance wise, it looks pretty good. And just comparing it to its predecessor here, the HG2, you can see where they've obviously incorporated the engines into the fuselage, and they've created more of an aerodynamic intake system here in order to increase or decrease the resistance in airflow. And yeah, it feels a lot like the HG2, but a little bit better in every way, which is exactly what you would be expecting. So just doing a quick stat comparison here, you can see that the airspeed is going to be significantly faster, but that's to be expected because you are at tier 10, but it's a lot faster. Like you can see here that the boost speed is going to be like nearly 100 miles an hour faster. That's significant. The cruise speed isn't that much faster, but with 25 seconds of boost, we're really able to get up to those speeds. The HG2 relied a bit on using the dive in order to get some more acceleration or speed out of the aircraft, while the HG2 or HG3 rather doesn't rely on it nearly as much. The gun armament identical, so you're getting more of what you kind of can expect here. I have gone with a different arrangement here. We've actually gone with the gas operated action in order to increase the rate of fire, and while that did decrease the accuracy, knowing that we're going to have less time as we're passing the target, I wanted to try just going for full burst damage and seeing what that would do for us. Maneuverability, we're looking at slightly more maneuverable on the HG2 based on the stats I have on that pilot, but it feels pretty good right now just as the aircraft is. What else do we have? A little bit less on the roll rate. The optimal speed gate is a lot higher. You need to be between 391 and the 609, but something I've noted here is that the HG3 doesn't feel like I'm struggling to get up to the speeds to stay in that realm. Anybody who's flown the 262 HG2 will note that when you're trying to climb, you have to be boosting, otherwise the aircraft seems to dip below that threshold of 369 miles an hour for minimum optimal speed for turning. Meanwhile, the HG3 stays above that 391 mark fairly easily, and that was with a 90% cruise, so it was working pretty well for us, and I can't really complain. I've been having a good time with the airframe just in this single battle. It was an absolute joy to fly. The consensus is great plane. I know one battle isn't a accurate representation of what to expect in later games, but comparing it to the HG2, it's just compensates for a lot of the weaknesses that you seem to have with the HG2, and it's struggling to stay up at speed, while this thing is able to maintain that speed fairly easily with a little bit more altitude performance, allowing you to be able to take more advantage of kind of that altitude bracket and the ability to then use the descent. I've opted to run this bird clean. You lose the air-to-air rockets, but I don't think that that's that big of a deal, especially with this pilot. I said we'd go over Charlotte a little bit here, and Charlotte has a unique skill right here called Celestial Fury, and in a head-on attack, the pilot fires at the most vulnerable sections of a target. This improves the chance for critical damage to an enemy aircraft, setting it on fire, and it increases the damage caused in a head-on attack by 20%. Now that's not rockets, but in a head-on assault, we're still going to be getting a lot of damage out from Charlotte here, and we're probably going to be lighting them on fire. Now there's another skill here that's unique to this pilot, which is a little bit different. The idea that you increase the range at which you can detect enemy aircraft by 40%, but the range at which your aircraft is detected is increased by 10%. So you're acting kind of like a spotter for your team, which allows you to be able to run ahead of the group a little bit, staying at altitude and still being able to see those targets down at lower altitude brackets. I may be so inclined to go ahead and throw on Raptor Strike on this aircraft, because with Raptor Strike now, when I see a target at lower altitude, I can dive on that target, and with the ability to maintain our airspeed, we'll be able to get this to proc a lot easier, so we'll increase the damage that we're causing, or at least increase the critical chance and the chance to start people on fire in the dive, so we can really get some heavy hits on the enemy in a diving attack. That's something I'm going to consider in the future, but for the time being, I hope you guys enjoyed the review of the HG3. Again, I think it's a stellar aircraft, and I can't wait to specialize in this platform so that we can really finish out what we have going on here. I think I'm going to opt for some mobility or maneuverability characteristics to the aircraft in order to be able to get those guns on target a little bit more effectively. Anyways, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one.
Closer, marching till it's over.